Well, morning, sports fans. It's about 2:13 in the morning. It's 7/28, 2020, July, Tuesday. A couple more days. Then a friend of mine will be out of here, and I'll miss the living crap out of him. Guy name is, his nickname was Ziggy. His real name was David Ditamasso. I met this crazy turkey in a school program called School Within a School, or called SWAS, back at John F. Kennedy High School. From 1981, I graduated out of Patrick Henry Junior High when they called him Junior High. And my mother wasn't in. She didn't like the school program. She didn't like what the hell I was getting myself into. But I told her I could handle it. Yeah, right, sure. Gave too much freedom. I wanted more structure. She knows my grades. She knows my study habits. She wanted what's best. She didn't count on things happening the way they did. But I met David E. Tomaso. He was a crazy guy back then. He liked rock and roll. He liked drums. Fancies himself as a drummer back then. Carefree, but smart as a whip. He was able to get through the program. He was about a year older than I am. So he was already established in it. I also met other people in there too. Debbie Gifford. Still a good friend. I met other people in Kennedy High School as well. Became lifelong friends. Mark Fenless and Paula Dixon, Billie Jean. Phil Bellinger. Seth was outside, so was Mark. The rest of them I met in SWAS. David E. Tomaso also drew things. Drew comics. He was very artistic and very talented. When I had issues in SWAS, after a couple of years, my mother decided to pull me out, stick me back in regular curriculum. But I kept up with the friendships as much as I could. Till graduation day, and then we all separated. We all made our separate ways. But as fate would come, I came back into Ziggy's life when I went back to came out of college. Wasted 2.5 years. So in 1987 or 87 actually, I went working for a company named Circuit City where I saw David D. Tomaso being a salesperson over there. He already had his feet wet. Already been there for about a year. And a very good guy too. Very good salesperson. He was very down to earth. He's still wacky. But he knew what he was doing. And then the Iraq war came up and he enlisted. I didn't see him again for a hell of a long time after that. Not until decades later, every once in a while I would hear from my other friends who would try to keep contact with me. And somewhere in the Antelope Valley he was living in there. So was Paula Dixon. throughout the years, when you lose contact with your high school friends that mean a lot to you, and then you see them again, it's like a whole high school reunion again, except in this situation here, we all had our lives changed for us and around us. And came out here to Antelope Valley and found out that David Ditamasso was living out here with his wife. He had a kid. He got married. He got into drums. He was in the bands. He traveled around a little bit. He wasn't in the bigger bands. He was smaller bands, and it was fine for him because he was also working full time at a senior care facility as an administrator of some sort. He did all right for himself. So within the past 15 years, we'd see each other every once in a while. We'd use Facebook to keep in contact with each other. I just made sure that we kept in contact so we didn't lose track of each other this time. And what's hard for me to get around that is last year, or actually this year, he had a major health scare. His daughter, I think, was married and living up in Washington somewhere. Expressed a hell of a lot of concern for him and his health, and she was afraid of losing her father. He didn't want to lose track of his daughter either. They're very tight and very close, and families like that. And once more, I gotta say goodbye to my friend. I don't know if I'll ever see him again. Felt the same way when he went into the Army and I never saw him afterwards. It was a rarity to actually saw him after that just to know if he was still alive or not. And when 15 years ago, my family moved out from San Fernando Valley, me and my brother, my mother, me. And we got in contact with some of our old friends out here. That's where we got in contact with Dave. And Dave knew about my mother's situation and condition and tried to work with me and my brother sometimes. He kept in contact with us when he could. Even when David passed away, he tried to keep in contact to see how he was doing. Despite the fact he was still touring and still busy, but Dave and my brother and I were still able to get around and still had transportation. He would be playing at different places, including VFW halls, and we'd see him there. We'd see him wailing on the drums. I'm trying to get a video of the guy too. But because of the health scare he had, he knew he needed to leave. And the thing of it is, I feel like a self-conscious, self-righteous, egotistical person saying I want him staying here because I don't want my friends to leave me. But I know families even worse because that's more of a priority than my own selfish needs. And in seeing Ziggy dealing with what he's been dealing with these days, a hell of a lot of health scares and a lot of stress, I guess it was time for him to move on away from his job. But he still retains his drums because that's basically his therapy right there against life. He's enjoying himself with that, and he wants to enjoy what's left of his time with his daughter. And I can understand that. I'll miss the living crap out of him. Despite any assurances this is he'll try to come out here and visit, but I don't think he will. I think this is it. And that's what hurts me the most is because this is it. At the end of this month, a couple of days, he's gone. Or within a couple of days, he's gone. And I'll miss my friend David Ditamasso. We hadn't grown up all our lives, but there are certain people in your life that mean a damn to you. That brought you something that you never saw. An enjoyment out of life. Everything else, everybody else you probably see is, oh, woe is me, and I'm trying to deal with it as best as I can, and I'm griping and grumbling about it, and that kind of situation. I've dealt with that. Hell, I've been in that already. And David tried as best as he could to keep a positive attitude. And that's why he's a hell of a friend. That's why he's one guy I definitely will be missing. He was cool to everybody. He didn't have any hatred towards anybody, at least not that I was aware of. He may have been angry at a few things here and there, but I didn't see him get to him. I didn't see the darker side of my friend. I saw only the lighter side. There was a little comic book he wrote back in high school. I still kept. I always remember him back then. I always remember him now. And I will miss my friend a great deal. I have lived with another family since 1976. We've been through a lot. I think a few of them are still around and still remember me. They lost their mother a couple of years back, and it's still hard for them to deal with that. And they're coping and they're living with their own lives. But I felt like when I lost my own brother, I couldn't get in contact with him. I lost hope. I lost family. And I considered my extended family a part of my family, the Reeves. And mother was like my mother. I never met Dave's family. I don't remember meeting his wife. I don't remember meeting his daughter either. But I always consider David as part of my family, as a brother. And that's what makes it hard for me to record this thing because I'm recording it for him. I mean, I'll put it on YouTube and I'll put it on Facebook, but I'm trying to let him know how much I'm going to miss the living crap out of him. I know there's a lot of people who have their lives changed because of him, because of his presence in their lives. And he's the same way. I was going through high school the first time. I was scared as hell. He was one of those people who was instrumental in getting me through it. Just by his presence, goofy as he was. He was a good guy to hang around. Still is. And he's a hell of a drummer. So, Dave, if you're still listening, don't be a stranger. Use social media to get in contact with me if you have to. Post something on YouTube. Post something on Facebook. Just reach out, man, and keep reaching out, okay? Because I need that positive vibe from you, dude. You felt walked me through mom's death and you walked me through Dave's, my own brothers. It'll be a shame if I happen to hear from your daughter online that you had passed away without ever having a chance to reconnect again. And it hurts like hell. It hurts like hell. And I wish you well in your journey. One day maybe our path will cross again. If not in this life, in the next life, I hope. And at least I hope if you're going to be in the next life, you got your drum sets with you and will drive God crazy with them. As I know there's several drummers up there, I want to give you pointers, dude. I know my family will be wanting to see you too. But let's not hope for that particular day just yet. Let's just concentrate on the living, shall we? I love you, Dave, with all my heart. Always have, always will. You're a brother to me. And I wish I'd said this a hell of a lot earlier. I hope to God it's not too late. Godspeed, David Ditamasso. Keep wheeling in those drum skins. And maybe we'll see each other soon, Zig. John C. Weaver signing off.